Today I'm going to walk you through one of the most common questions that clients ask, which is, now that my case has settled, when do I get my settlement check? Hi everyone, I'm Rose Harper. I'm a personal injury attorney serving clients in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Many people think that once we reach a settlement agreement, it's instantaneous, a check shows up the next day, and that's just not the case. The truth is that there are several important legal and administrative steps that need to happen after a settlement agreement is reached, particularly in New Jersey, before we can release funds to you. Today I'll explain what happens immediately after settlements, how releases work, insurance processing times, Medicaid lien issues, private health insurance liens, provider balances, and the Charles Jones search, which is a New Jersey specific requirement. Let's break it all down step by step. Once we reach a settlement agreement with the insurance company, whether it's an auto insurance policy, homeowners insurance, or a commercial policy, the very first step is getting a release. A release is a legal document where you agree that in exchange for your settlement funds, you will not pursue further legal action for this accident. What happens during this step, the insurance company prepares the release. Our office reviews it to make sure that it matches the agreement that we made with them. We confirm there are no hidden or unfair terms. Then you sign the release in front of a notary. Important, we will never have you sign a release until we are certain that it is correct and protects your rights. Once the release is signed, we return it to the adjuster or defense attorney. Most insurance companies take 2 to 4 weeks to issue the settlement check after they receive the signed release. Some issue it faster, others, especially large commercial carriers, take longer. When we send you to sign the settlement release in front of a notary, we also have you sign a consent to endorse, because the insurance company issues the check to the law firm, not directly to you, because the check must be deposited into our attorney trust account. We are legally required to confirm that all liens are resolved before the money is dispersed to you. We must ensure every party who has a legal or contractual claim is properly paid. That's why we get that consent to endorse signed, so we can deposit the check into our attorney trust account. This honestly protects you from future financial or legal problems. If your case is in New Jersey, there is a unique requirement as well that before the settlement check can be released, the Charles Jones judgment search needs to be conducted. This is mandatory search used to identify whether the client has any child support arrears, outstanding judgments, state liens, or legal obligations, Department of Treasury liens or issues. It is required under New Jersey law to ensure that if a client owes child support arrears, the state can actually collect the appropriate amount from the settlement. How this affects your timeline. The search must be completed before we disperse any funds. If there is no child support judgment, we're clear to proceed. If there is a child support balance, the state will be required to secure a portion of your settlement to satisfy that obligation. This step can add a few extra days to a few extra weeks, depending on how quickly the child support office responds. Also, if you were treated under Medicaid, federal and state law require that Medicaid be reimbursed for accident-related medical treatment. This is not optional. It's required by law. What our office must do is notify Medicaid of your settlements, request a final lien statement, review the charges, confirm that they actually do relate to your case, dispute any unrelated or excessive charges. Medicaid can sometimes take 180 days to provide that final lien statement. The Medicaid lien offices are incredibly slow, and resolving any liens can take 90 days or sometimes longer. We work to move this as quickly as possible, but we must wait for Medicaid to finalize the lien before we can release any of your funds. If we were to disperse without resolving Medicaid, the state could pursue you later, and the penalties are severe. Our job is to protect you, to make sure that this is handled correctly. Of course, this only applies to people who actually have Medicaid, and Medicaid gets billed. Aside from Medicaid, if you have other liens from private health insurance like Blue Cross, Aetna, Cigna, if you have an IRSA plan, Medicare, or if you just go treat at a hospital and there's a lien, or a lien with a private health provider, doctor, pain management physician, a surgical center, any type of liens like that, medical providers and insurance carriers often negotiate their liens. This is a benefit to you because the less that we pay in liens, the more money you get in your pocket, which I always like getting from my clients. Why this step takes time to negotiate down the bills? Because we have to verify each bill, ensure that the treatment is accident related, then negotiate them down, do the smallest amount possible, and then finalize the final amount in a written agreement. This typically adds 1 to 4 weeks, but sometimes longer for larger medical systems. Once the insurance check has cleared, all liens are confirmed and negotiated, the Charles Jones search is finalized, Medicaid is resolved, we then prepare your final settlement statement, also called a case summary or a disbursement sheet. The document shows the total settled amount the attorney fees, the case expenses, lien payments, medical providers that were paid out, your final net recovery. We review this document with you in detail before issuing your check, and we want you to understand every single number, where every dollar goes and why. Once all legal obligations are met and the settlement sheet is approved, you can pick up your check in person, or we can mail it via certified mail. Ideally, you'll pick up your check in person because we like to check your ID, ensure that you receive your check. And this is the final and best step where you actually receive the compensation that you deserve because of your accident-related injuries. This is what happens after your case settles. It's more involved than many people expect, but every step protects your rights and ensures that everything is handled legally and properly. If you've been injured in an accident and you have questions, please feel free to reach out to Rose Harper Law at roseharperlaw.com. This video is for educational purposes only, and I don't have an attorney-client relationship with you unless you have a signed retainer agreement with me.